Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Miss Mary, and welcome to Live Storytime. Um, I hope all of you are doing well today. And this story time is, as you can tell, not taking place in the library today. The library is closed today and tomorrow because one of our employees did test positive for COVID. And we're taking a lot of precautions and doing a nice deep clean for the building today. And so we are working from home, and I am happy to be doing this story time from my couch. It feels like old times. So, and you can see Kermit hanging out in the background like old times again. So, that is just an explanation for the change of location. As always, if you're here, please say hello in the chat and I'll make sure to give you a shout out. I had a completely different story time planned for today, but sometimes plans don't work out. I had a vision for a fun theme, but my books from other libraries did not come in before we closed. They were probably going to come in yesterday afternoon. So I didn't get a chance to get them. So those books will be read, just not this week because I don't have them with me. So it was a bit of a scramble yesterday to get some new books and to come up with something else. There is no theme today. I didn't have time to to come up with a new one in the time that we had. So I just grabbed a bunch of books that I think were great, and one that one of our lovely pages recommended to me, and I think it's a great story. So I'm excited to share that one with you. Hi, Sadaf. How are you? And if Amarali and Bahar are with you, hello. Again, before I begin, if you are here, please say hello in the chat so I can give you a shout out, just like that. All right, let's get started with, I also have, I wanted to say one book that's a little bit longer and older for today. Still very appropriate, but fun. I decided to read that one this week when the original plan fell through. So let's get started with a wintry story. Hi, from all of us. Sadie wants to know who that is on the couch behind you. Oh, Sadie, that's my friend Kermit. He hung out with me the entire time that I did my story times from my couch before we were reopened. And that's where he hangs out. So today you get to see him. They are saying hi. Oh, good, Sadaf. I hope to see you soon at the library. Luckily, we are reopening on Friday. So that is good news. Okay, let's get started with, I know some of you may be sick of it because we've had another snowstorm very shortly after the first one. But I picked a winter book. This is called One Winter's Day. Okay, I'm just going to have to play around a little bit because I'm not used to having a glare anymore. Here we go. Little Hedgehog was making his bed for the winter when a sudden gust of wind blew him off his feet. It took hold of his cozy nest and tossed it high into the air. Little Hedgehog trembled as the wind whistled around him, and he wondered what to do. He caught hold of his scarf, hat, and mittens before they blew away, and tried to find shelter under the tree roots. But wherever he went, the wind blew there as well. I'll have to stay with Badger until this storm has gone, he said at last, pulling his woolly hat firmly over his prickles. Then he snuggled into his cozy scarf, put on his mittens, and with a deep breath, he set off. The wind was even stronger in the meadow. Leaves swirled here and there, and snowflakes filled the air. Little Hedgehog hadn't gone far when he bumped into a family of field mice shivering in the long grass. "I've never known such a storm," squeaked Mother Mouse. "The wind has blown our nest far away, and my poor babies are so cold." "My home has been blown away as well," said Little Hedgehog. "I'm on my way to stay with Badger, but I have just the thing to warm you up." And he took off his woolly hat and gave it to the mice. "Oh, lovely, lovely," they squeaked, snuggling down out of the wind. "Thank you, Hedgehog." That was very kind of him. Little Hedgehog tucked his nose inside his scarf and ran along beside the racing river. Otter was on the bank, huffing and puffing on his paws. "Hello, Otter," shouted Little Hedgehog. "What are you doing?" "Oh, hello, Hedgehog," replied Otter. "My fur coat keeps me warm, but my paws are freezing." "Here, have these," said Little Hedgehog, giving Otter his mittens. "They should do the trick." "Thank you, Little Hedgehog," said Otter. "These are great, but shouldn't you be at home in this cold weather?" "Oh, I have no home any more," Little Hedgehog replied sadly. "The wind has blown it away." And, running on, he cried, "I'm going to stay with Badger." By the time Little Hedgehog reached the woods, the snow was getting deeper. On and on he struggled, picking his way between the snowdrifts as the winds howled around him. A mother deer and her fawn were sheltering in the bushes. "Oh, Little Hedgehog, why aren't you in your nest in this awful storm?" she asked. So Little Hedgehog told Mother Deer about his nest blowing away. But as he spoke, he saw that the little fawn was shaking with cold. "Here, take this," he said, giving the fawn his scarf. "How kind you are," said Mother Deer. "Thank you, Little Hedgehog." Little Hedgehog pattered on, faster and faster. But just as he finally saw Badger's house at the bottom of the hill, he skidded on the icy path. "Help!" he cried as he went bumping and bouncing through the snow. Ouch! Badger was making tea when he heard a big thud outside. "Whatever was that?" he cried, dropping his toast. When he opened the door, a prickly snowball rolled in. "Gracious me," he said in surprise, "it's Little Hedgehog." Badger carried Little Hedgehog to an armchair by the fire and gave him a cup of tea. Little Hedgehog told Badger about his journey through the storm, and then, cozy and warm, he fell fast asleep. Little Hedgehog stayed with Badger until the storm had gone. As they walked to where his house had been, Little Hedgehog was very worried. "How can I build a strong new nest if all the leaves and twigs have blown away, and there's nothing left?" he asked anxiously. "I'll help you," said Badger kindly. "We're nearly there now." "Surprise!" came the cry when they turned the corner. Little Hedgehog gasped with delight. The animals he'd met in the storm had made him the coziest nest he'd ever seen. For the kindest hedgehog in the world, they all cried together. How nice is that? They made him a little home. Awesome. Okay, now I noticed I got some comments. Okay, scroll up. Sadie says, I like him, Kermit. That's great. Thank you, Sadie. Kermit is one of my favorite Muppets. Um, he was on Sesame Street back in the day, but now he's not on Sesame Street anymore, but he's one of my favorite Muppets. So thank you. I'm glad you like him. We love Little Hedgehog. We have another book of it called One Rainy Day. Cool. I'll have to check it out and see if we have it, Sadaf. That's awesome. I love that book too. I found it yesterday for the first time. Sadie and Callie want to know your favorite soup and if I've ever had soup before. Yes, I have had soup before, and this is the perfect season for soup, so that is a great question. My favorite soup. There's a soup that I make. I like to make my own soups. There's a soup that I make that has chickpeas in it and pasta and little cut up carrots and peas. That's a really yummy soup. I like that one a lot. So, yeah. Probably my favorite. One of my favorites. Good question, girls. Thank you. Okay. If you have a question, a comment, what's your favorite soup, Sadie and Callie? I'd love to know. I'm going to guess chicken noodle, but maybe I'm wrong. Let me know. If you have a question or a comment for me, say hello in the chat, and I will make sure to answer it for you. If I am in mid-book, I will get you as soon as I'm done. Okay. This is the book that one of our pages recommended to me yesterday. I think they have the best recommendations because they're always putting our books away, and they get to see what goes out and what's popular. And of course, we all sneak peeks at the books on the shelves. So she found this one and she really enjoyed it. And I love it too. I really love this book. So here we go. This is called Unlovable by Dan Yaccarino. Alfred was unlovable. Oh. At least that's what the cat told him every chance he got. You've got the ugliest mug I've ever seen. No one could love you. That's not very nice. Alfred tried his best to ignore the remarks, but it was difficult, especially since the cat had taught the parrot to say, unlovable, squawk, unlovable, whenever Alfred walked by. The goldfish even gurgled in agreement. Poor Alfred. I don't think he's unlovable. But what was it that made him unlovable? His snoring? The way that he ate? His little curly tail? None of the neighborhood dogs would have a thing to do with him. His mouth is too small to hold a ball, a big German shepherd sneered. His legs are way too short for running, snickered a greyhound. And a pampered poodle chuckled. Did you see that face? Poor Alfred. Beat it, shrimp, growled a Doberman. You couldn't even scare a mailman. Alfred didn't like staying in the house since the cat was always making fun of him. The parrot was always squawking, unlovable, and the goldfish was always gurgling in agreement. So, Alfred spent most of his time alone in the backyard. One day, a new family moved in next door. Alfred tried to see if they had a dog who might be his friend, but he was too little to look over the fence. As he was sniffing around, he heard something on the other side. Hello? Alfred called. Hi, came the answer. I'm Rex. I just moved in. My name is Alfred, and without thinking, he blurted out, I'm a golden retriever. Glad to meet you, Rex replied. Alfred and Rex talked for hours. Alfred said he liked sleeping in the sun, dog food, and scratching. Rex did too. Rex said he hated baths and going to the vet. Alfred did too. It began to get dark. Soon it was time for dinner, and they both went inside. That night, Alfred thought about how much he liked Rex and how much they had in common. Then he thought about the fib he had told. Alfred was sure they'd be friends, as long as Rex never saw how unlovable he was. The next day, when Alfred and Rex were chatting, a squirrel jumped onto the fence between them. They both barked at it. The squirrel took one look at Alfred and climbed up a tree. Rex said, "You sure showed that squirrel who's boss, Alfred." But Alfred was thinking, if Rex ever sees me, he'll run away too. "I'm going to dig a hole under the fence," Rex said one day. "Then I can squeeze through to your side and we can meet." My gosh, if they meet though, what's gonna happen? Alfred heard Rex digging. When he heard Rex wiggle under the fence, he ran and hid behind a bush. Then he heard Rex call, "Alfred, where are you?" Suddenly, Rex poked his head into the bush where Alfred was hiding. Look at that. They look the same. You look just like me, gasped Alfred. "Wow, this is great," said Rex. "You're not a golden retriever after all." Alfred had to laugh. Who cares what the others said? Rex was his friend, and Rex liked him just the way he was. Together, Alfred and Rex ran. They jumped. They played. And Alfred never felt unlovable again. Oh, I just loved that story. And I thought Alfred was lovable the whole time. But I'm so glad he ended up with a friend. That, just a great, great book. So thank you to Rita for recommending that to me yesterday. Okay. I don't see any new comments, so I think I am just going to... Wait a minute. Sadie likes yellow soup and Callie likes blue soup. What kind of soup have you had that's blue, Callie? Let me know. What's blue? I've never had a blue soup before, so I'm curious about that. Okay, let's see. Okay, this one I grabbed off a display table yesterday. And we loved that one. Thanks, Laura. I loved that one too. All credit goes to our page, Rita, for recommending that one to me yesterday. That was a great find. So glad she told me about it. You know, with so many books out there, it's impossible to know them all. So I always love a recommendation. Especially when plans fall through, like my original plans for this week. Fruit snack soup. All right, Callie, I'm not judging. I guess that is tasty for you. Sure, I'll go with it. Okay, this was again from a display table that we have for our Black History Month, and I just really liked the story. Very empowering. So this is called I Am Truly by Kelly Greenewalt. Let me just adjust. Okay, here we go. I am truly. I like frogs and the color blue. I can climb trees and be a rock star too. I can run fast and build tall towers. I am a superhero with magical powers. I am smart. I am studious. I am a high achiever. I am strong. I am skillful. I am a born leader. I can sail the seas on a little boat. I can eat every bite of a root beer float. I can tie my own shoes. I can find treasure with clues. I am clever. I am curious. I am an engineer. I am confident. I am courageous. I am a volunteer. I can fly to the moon and dance on the stars. I can tame wild lions and race fast cars. I can swim like a fish. I can shoot and swish. I am funny. I am flexible. I am an entertainer. I am focused. I am fierce. I am a dinosaur trainer. I can grow purple grapes. I can create amazing shapes. I can feed hungry bunnies crunchy carrots. I can learn Japanese and teach it to parents. I am truly, watch me soar. I am small but mighty. Hear me roar. I can do anything I set my mind to do. Do you know that you can do all these things too? Because you are truly fabulous. That is I am truly. Sadie says hi again. Hi, Sadie. And if you're here, please say hello in the chat so I can give you a nice shout out. Thank you again so much for joining me today for story time. This week's story time was not as planned, but that's okay. You know, sometimes you just gotta go with the flow. So this is my last story for today because it is a little bit longer and I want a little bit more of an intro for it. This story is a fractured fairy tale. It's called The True Story of the Three Little Pigs. And it's by John Cheska. Now, this is called a fractured fairy tale because it's different from the original fairy tale. Now, if you know the story of the Three Little Pigs, they have their houses, right? And the big bad wolf comes and blows down the house of sticks, the house of straw, and then there's a house of bricks that he can't blow down. So, this is called a fractured fairy tale because it's from the wolf's point of view, and he wants to tell us that that original story might not be the truth. So, here is the true story of the Three Little Pigs. Everybody knows the story of the Three Little Pigs, or at least they think they do. But I'll let you in on a little secret. Nobody knows the real story because nobody has ever heard my side of the story. Now remember, this is from the wolf's point of view. I'm the wolf, Alexander T. Wolf. You can call me Al. I don't know how this whole big bad wolf thing got started, but it's all wrong. Maybe it's because of our diet. Hey, it's not my fault wolves eat cute little animals like bunnies and sheep and pigs. That's just the way we are. If cheeseburgers were cute, folks probably would think you were big and bad too. I think I might turn a light on. Hold on one second. Once again, never have to worry about this with with the room I'm usually in at the library. Like I was saying, the whole big bad wolf thing is all wrong. The real story is about a sneeze and a cup of sugar. This is the real story. Okay. Way back in Once Upon a Time, I was making a birthday cake for my dear old granny. I had a terrible sneezing cold. I ran out of sugar. So I walked down the street to ask my neighbor for a cup of sugar. Now, this neighbor was a pig, and he wasn't too bright either. He had built his whole house out of straw. Can you believe it? I mean, who in his right mind would build a house of straw? So, of course, the minute I knocked on the door, it fell right in. I didn't want to just walk into someone else's house, so I called, little pig, are you in? No answer. I was just about to go home without the cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. That's when my nose started to itch. I felt a sneeze coming on. Well, I huffed and I snuffed. And I sneezed a great sneeze. Oh boy. And you know what? That whole straw house fell down. And right in the middle of a pile of straw was the first little pig. Oops. He had been home the whole time. It seemed like a shame to leave a perfectly good ham dinner lying there in the straw. So I ate him. Think of it as a big cheeseburger just lying there. I was feeling a little better, but I still didn't have my cup of sugar, so I went to the next neighbor's house. This neighbor was the first little pig's brother. He was a little smarter, but not much. He had built his house out of sticks. I rang the bell on the stick house. Nobody answered. I called, Mr. Pig, are you in? He yelled back, Go away, wolf, you can't come in. I'm shaving the hairs on my chinny chin chin. I had just grabbed the doorknob when I felt another sneeze coming on. I huffed, and I snuffed, and I tried to cover my mouth, but I sneezed a great sneeze. And you're not going to believe it, but this guy's house fell down, just like his brother's. When the dust cleared, there was the second little pig. Wolf's honor. Now, you know food will spoil if you just leave it out in the open. So I did the only thing there was to do. I had dinner again. Think of it as a second helping. But I was getting awfully full. My cold was feeling a little better, but I still didn't have that cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. So I went to the next house. This guy was the first and second little pig's brother. He must have been the brains of the family, because he had built his house out of bricks. I knocked on the brick house. No answer. I called, Mr. Pig, are you in? And do you know what that rude little porker answered? Get out of here, wolf. Don't bother me again. Talk about impolite. He probably had a whole sack full of sugar, and he wouldn't give me even one little cup for my dear, sweet old granny's birthday cake. What a pig. I was just about to go home and maybe make a nice birthday card instead of a cake when I felt my cold coming on again. I huffed, and I snuffed, and I sneezed once again. Then the third little pig yelled, And your old granny can sit on a pin. That's not nice. Now, I'm usually a pretty calm fellow, but when somebody talks about my granny like that, I go a little crazy. When the police drove up, of course, I was trying to break down this pig's door. And the whole time I was huffing and puffing and sneezing and making a real scene. The rest, as they say it, is history. The news reporters found out about the 2 pigs I had for dinner. They figured a sick guy going to borrow a cup of sugar didn't sound very exciting. So they jazzed up the story with all of that huff and puff and blow your house down, and they made me the big bad wolf. That's it. The real story. I was framed. But maybe you could loan me a cup of sugar. Okay, that is the story, the true story of the 3 little pigs, and I'm wondering if you think the wolf was telling the truth. I wonder. Makes you think. Okay, thank you so much, everybody, for joining me today for live story time. There will not be a live story time next week. I am off for the day in observance of Ash Wednesday. But there will be a video that I'm going to make sure posts next Wednesday. So you will get to see some of the books that I would have read today if my holds had come in time. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining me today. Sadie thinks it's true. Okay, the wolf told a convincing tale. Okay. You never know. You never know. He had some good points. Okay. So, thank you again for joining me for live story time from my home to yours. I will see you in 2 weeks with more stories, but next week there will be a video for you to enjoy. So, thank you, everybody. Stay well, stay safe, stay healthy, stay warm, and I'll see you soon. Bye, everyone.